gotta get yourself into a hazmat suit, Agent. We just got word that the experimental antivirals lost in the Dark Zone have been located. There's no time to wait. You and a team need to go secure them right now, or someone else will.
What's up guys, Rogue9 here, and after a break of several months, the recent update to The Division has enticed me back to play some more. The most prominent feature of this update is of course the survival mode, so in this video I'll be taking a closer look at just that. Let's go! First of all, credit where credit's due. I was inspired to make this review/commentary video after seeing some of the commentary videos over on Microwave Gaming's channel. But I'll have a few more words to say about his channel at the end of the video. For now, let's get started on The Division. So in case you haven't played the survival mode of The Division yet, here's a quick description. If you already know the basics of this game mode, you can skip ahead to the meaty part of this video by clicking on the link I left in the comments below. Like in the survival mode of any other game, you start out the session in a fairly weakened state. You have lost all your weapons and you're only left with a pistol. During the helicopter crash, you hit your head so hard that you also lost all of your abilities and gadgets. And of course, you set out for an emergency mission during a blizzard with no winter clothing whatsoever. Because reasons. At the beginning of a round, there will be 23 other players, and as soon as you get in, the race for resources is on. The first of these resources is body temperature. If you stay exposed to the cold for too long, you will die. And to avoid this, you need to make strategic use of shelter, fireplaces, and warm clothing. So warmth is definitely a critical resource, although it's quite easy to manage. The other critical resource, that is a resource that will end your game if you do not manage it effectively, is medication in the form of painkillers and medicine. Basically, when you start out the game, you're on a 1-hour timer, and when that runs out, your game is over. But you can pause this timer by taking either painkillers or medicine. If you find plenty of these resources, you can stretch your 1-hour game out to about 2 hours max. The other two things you'll have to manage are less critical, as in they won't end your game, but nevertheless important. On the one hand, you'll have hunger, which unsurprisingly you manage by eating, and if you don't, the hungry status will affect your health regeneration speed. Thirst, on the other hand, which you can manage by drinking stuff, will limit your ability to see resources in the world around you. And of course, last but not least, alongside managing these 4 elements of the survival mode, you still need to equip your character with gear, with decent weapons and abilities. Because depending on which game mode you've chosen, PvP or PvE, you will still have to fight enemies, either NPC enemies only, or NPCs as well as the other players in that session. To be able to extract from the survival mode successfully, you will first need to create a mask that will allow you to enter the contaminated Dark Zone, and once there you have to find the antivirals you were sent out to get in the first place, and then create a flare gun which will allow you to call for extraction. And even though you have to get these antivirals to be able to progress, the real objective of this mode is simply to be extracted. If you do manage a successful extraction, you can take with you up to 6 contaminated loot containers, which will contain weapons and other equipment items which you can use in the main game. But even if you don't manage to successfully extract and you die, depending on how far you got, you can still take away a loot container or 2. So now that I've covered the basics of this new game mode, let's get into the discussion of what I think of it. Let me start off by saying I think that The Division is an amazing game. I have quite happily invested over 200 hours into the game so far, and I don't think I've quite finished with it yet. I especially enjoyed the cooperative story mode, piecing together the mystery of what happened in New York, building your character with abilities and gear, and even upgrading your base piece by piece. It really had everything you would want from an open-world RPG, and the option to play it cooperatively with friends really turned this great game into an amazing game for me. The only weaknesses this game had, I think, appeared after you completed the main story mode. Once you'd completed the main story, the only thing left to do was grind through the same missions again and again. And yes, very early on in the game's life cycle, Ubisoft did add the Incursions, which were kind of very difficult missions, and the payoff for completing these very difficult missions was even better gear. But the question that arose certainly in my mind, but I think also in the mind of many other players, is why am I doing this? You're repeating the same sets of missions over and over again to get better and better gear to become better at completing these same missions over and over again. It was kind of a circle that just went round and round, with the only objective being becoming more powerful so that you can complete this circle more easily and more efficiently. So yeah, long story short, The Division has no endgame. And I think maybe a second weakness is how long it has taken Ubisoft to release these DLCs. When the game was released, I bought the Season Pass based on the fact that I like the game so much. But even by the time the first DLC pack, Underground, was released, I'd already fallen off the wagon. And Underground didn't really do enough to pull me back in, so now I'm coming back to Survival again after months of not having touched the game. At this rate, by the time that the third DLC pack, Last Stand, is released, I'm not even sure the game will still be installed on my computer. Now, Survival, though, is quite a significant update to the game, and it really changes things up. For the first time ever, you're in competition for resources with the other players. And even though this is especially true for the PvP mode, in which you can kill the other players, it also goes for the PvE mode, where you can't kill the other players, but you still have to fight for the same limited resources. In the base game, taking your time to really explore the world around you is a key element to success. It will always make encounters with NPCs far easier, since you will be able to choose where and when to engage them. Likewise, taking your time in selecting your weapons and equipment is a key element to creating the most powerful character possible. And I really like that, so the base game really fit the way I love to play RPGs. But survival mode is different in that it is a race. There simply aren't enough resources to go around, and if you want to make it to the end and extract successfully, you simply have to make sure to get to the resources before your competitors do. And to a degree, even your party members are competitors for resources. And while that adds an interesting dimension to survival mode, it also makes it a lot less cooperative, since the only way your friend might be able to survive now is to take and use the medicine that you might need more. So with all of these points in mind, what are my thoughts on survival mode? For me personally, the first issue is that the survival mode clashes with the way I like to play RPGs. I like to take my time, I like to be thorough, and with only an hour and a half to maybe a maximum of 2 hours of game time, survival mode simply does not allow you to be thorough. You're in a rush all the time. But I can definitely appreciate that this might be appealing to a lot of players. Managing all the different resources you need and evolving your character under time pressure adds a whole new dimension to the challenges of the game. So if you're one of those players who's completed the Incursion countless times and is looking for a new challenge, starting out survival mode with literally no abilities, no equipment, and only armed with a pistol will definitely present you with a fresh challenge every time, especially if you enter the PvP mode. But the last question that is still open is, does this address the main weakness of The Division? And that is the lack of an endgame. Well, from my perspective, I'd have to say probably no. When you finish a session of survival mode, whether that's completing it alive or dying, you come away with some amazing new weapons and equipment. And the question that then popped into my mind is, and now what? At the end of this new challenge, you simply come away with a slightly stronger character, and once again we've entered the treadmill, going round and round and round. Evolving your character and becoming stronger only enables you to go back into the same old missions and complete them again, only in a slightly more efficient way. And at some point it simply occurred to me, and I think also a lot of other players, that there's actually no real point to this. And added on top of this, specifically when it comes to survival mode, the new equipment you gain from every successful or unsuccessful gaming session isn't even available when you come back and play another session of survival mode. You start out from scratch again. So unless you're still playing the main part of the game, there is no real payoff for completing a survival mission. So in conclusion, I think the survival mode is definitely interesting, especially when you're trying to play it cooperatively with a friend, since the limited availability of resources adds a whole new dimension to that cooperation. If you're playing in a party, you'll have to find a fine balance between sticking together for safety, but spreading out far enough to make sure you each gather resources for yourself. But for me, there is still a lack of a tangible and enticing payoff. And that means that I'm playing survival mode simply for the enjoyment of playing survival mode, not for the gear that I might end up getting. And of course, in addition to this game mode in and of itself clashes with the meticulous way that I like to play RPGs. I've played it a couple of times so far, and I'll definitely be giving it a few more goes to at least try to beat it, but I think if anything, this latest DLC has simply highlighted the fact that the best part about The Division is the initial story campaign. Well, at least that's my opinion. I do know that a lot of people enjoy the PvP elements to this game, and if you're one of those players, the PvP survival mode could be the next big thing for you. Have you played this recent DLC for The Division? If so, I'd really like to hear what you think about it. As always, put your comments below. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the video, I've been watching a lot of Microwave Gaming's content recently, and it was his Rainbow Six Siege commentary series that inspired me to go ahead and make this video. In case you don't know Microwave Gaming, I think it's definitely worth your while popping by and taking a look. He's mostly focused on Rainbow Six Siege and has great gameplay videos, in addition to the commentary videos I mentioned before. So yeah, if you like watching Rainbow Six Siege videos, especially those made by someone who's actually pretty good at the game, unlike me, link to his channel and one of his more recent videos on screen now. And with that guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video and I will see you in the next episode.